So we are the Aspirees. My name is Adi. I've worked in EE for just over 4 years now. I work in the retention department and I'm currently serving as a sales coach.
My name's Laura. I work in retail and I've been with the business for 8 years.
Hi, my name is Richard Pearson. I'm working in telesales. I've been working for EE for 9.5 years.
My name is Rachel. I've worked with the company from the start for 8 years. I've just started billing and I've now just got a secondment finance.
My name's Mark. I work in business loyalty and I've been with EE for 10 years.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, take a moment to think. How would you feel if you heard that there's a process within the business that is not only costing the business a huge amount of revenue, but is also losing its customers on a daily basis? So what I'm talking about is the reasons why we are here today. We're here to show you that we can create a better customer service while saving the business hundreds of thousands of pounds. And also what we can do with this process in place is build this bridge between retail and CS, but ultimately create that better customer service. We're striving to reach our goal to be number one for service. So what we'd love to do today is share our findings with you, how we collated the data, what our journey was, what the outcome is, and inevitably what the experience is, not only just for the customer but also for the agent that's dealing with the customer as well. We also feel that the process that we've come up with absolutely needs to be put in place on the back of our findings. What our solution will do will not only just help our business financially, it will change agent behaviour, and above all, it will improve our customer service. We passionately feel not only will this process help the business, the customer and the agent, but it will also get you thinking, why has this process not been changed before? Why has this not been put into place? And again, ultimately, how many customers have we lost on the back of this process? So, just to summarise what the presentation will include, it will include our findings, our journey, our results, and then finally our solution. So what I will do now is pass you on to Laura. What she will do is she will explain what the issue and the process is, and she's also got some very interesting stories on what us as a business put our customers through with this process in place. Thanks, Laura.
So as mentioned previously, there's still a massive gap between CS and retail, and often it's our customers that are left playing piggy in the middle. The example that we're looking at in particular is in regards to billing. So if a customer signs up to an agreement in store within retail, if they ring CS for any particular reason, CS can't see the customer agreement form, so the PIP. So if that customer signed up to an additional line deal, which may have an MRC discount applied, when they ring CS, they will always see the tariff in Excalibur at the higher price point. So if this discount's not added, if the customer rings billing, which is always their first instance, because that's why we have a billing team, they can't see that that discount's meant to be there. So the customer rings billing and is then told that to get the issue fixed, they need to go back into retail because they can't see that this discount's meant to be there. So the customer's coming back in the store, and we then need to get a copy of the kit faxed over to Geo to get the discount applied, which is often a lengthy process for the customer, and it doesn't always hit their next bill. The customers are coming in, and they're not very happy that they then spoke to customer service and had to come back into the store. An example of this has happened recently. We had a very heavily pregnant lady who signed up to an additional line deal, who then had to come back in the store to get the discount applied. How would you feel if that was you, having to take time out of your busy schedule to get an issue fixed which wasn't your issue that you created? Would you say that this is making us number one for customer service? And are you going to buy into a digital life if you have to do all of the running around to get an issue solved? The store process would be that we would then fax the kit off, which would be brilliant if we then had the kit in store, but if not, we would then have to get the kit recalled from archiving, which would be a cost to the business of £30 per box recalled. To get the contract that the customer signed, to get it faxed off to get that discount applied. Like I said previously, it's the customers are not buying into the complete digital life because they're having to run around to get issues solved, which wasn't their problem to start with.
as a sales advisor, I can speak on behalf of the rest of our team and our departments within billing as well. We do obviously manage to calls depending on various situations. Our objective as a sales is to obviously generate revenue for the business and whilst giving number one for service. Now, typical calls like this do come into our department on a regular basis. I know from retentions they do it more often than we do in telesales, and they basically are stuck between a rock and a hard place and have to resolve the situation for the customer. Basically, as a perfect scenario, we had one quite recently where a customer called in. They thought or presumed they were on a 12-month contract. Consequently, they weren't on a 24-month. They were looking to upgrade their handset as it was damaged. We couldn't transfer the call to upgrade if they wouldn't take it because of the eligibility, and there was quite a high buyout fee to be able to upgrade that customer's handset. Consequently, what that resulted in was for my AHT to be quite higher than it should be, trying to resolve the situation which I couldn't. Consequently, so I referred back to my team leader, I said escalate the call. And the general overall experience of the customer wasn't obviously great, as he was adamant he was on a 12-month contract. He had no proof to confirm this. All we could do is refer him back to the store, which originally he actually came from, to resolve the matter, and it's a bit of a to and fro situation. So consequently, overall, this is obviously not creating a great image for EE. We try to deliver the best and more service, but we cannot resolve the situation. There's, on this typical scenario, it's having a massive impact on myself. It's lowering our morale as agents, as we need that as a within sales, or as a high, something we need to look into to generate revenue for the company. And it's also, like say, as we mentioned before, affecting our number one service objective, as we cannot deliver what that customer or what these customers' requirements are. So what I'm doing now is pass on to Rachel, who's going to go over the facts and figures of how this is costing our business excess of money on an annual basis. Rachel?
Thank you. So before I go on to how much this is costing the business, I want to give you a little information in terms of how and where we got this information from. So we went out, we want to get a well-rounded idea in terms of how the outdated process is affecting the entire business and not just one or two different areas. So we set up trial teams. These trial teams, their main responsibility was to track numbers in terms of how many customers were calling in who couldn't have that query resolved in that first call just because the customer information form wasn't available on the system. These trial teams were spread across different call centres, including North Tyneside, Darlington, Merthyr, across different departments, including just normal CS domestic, small business, collections, offline bill and escalations teams. As well as this, we went to different stores around the North East to see how it's affecting stores and not just the contact centres. The biggest thing we found from the results is that we now know this isn't isolated, it's widespread. It's not isolated to a brand, it's not isolated to a channel, it's not isolated to a department. Starting with bill and escalations. Okay, bill and escalations is an offline team who deal with calculations sent from frontline agents. Now these figures we've got here are just customers who had to send in their customer information form via fax to the bill and escalations team. So we know that they get on average 50 actions per fortnight. That doesn't sound like a lot initially, but when you base it over a year, that works out to 5,200 actions per year, which is costing the business. We know it costs £1.44 to pay an agent to the bill and escalations team to calculate a bill and contact the customer. So based on 5,200 actions, it's £7,488 a year. So again, this is just one small department, one team in North Tyneside. On a bigger scale, we're looking at retail. We know that one customer, on average per day, goes into each one of our stores. This customer is with their SIF or asking the store to send a SIF in to customer service or the bill and escalations team. If we had one person going into every 580 stores every day of the year that were open, that works out at over 211,000 customers per year. These staff, they're getting paid to connect new people, to upgrade customers. We're basically paying staff £220,000 a year.
If the customer queries the agreement, then we have no information on any systems whatsoever to see what the actual agreement was, whether there was a deal on at the time, that kind of thing. So unfortunately, the culture is to tell the customer to go back to point of purchase to discuss that with, to discuss that further. So generally, what's the cost of this? Just a little short of £900,000. That's what it costs the business year after year. What is the solution? The solution that we propose is a digital contract with a digital signature saved on a database that can be seen by retail and CS. What is the cost of this? We estimate anything from 280,000 up to 450,000. And as if we do the quick maths, that will be covered in the first 6 months of our proposal going ahead. So again, ladies and gentlemen, please take a minute to think. A happy customer, they will tell a friend. An unhappy customer, they will tell the world. So inevitably, what is the cost of that? So again, we thank you very much for your time, and we welcome any questions. Thank you.
Great. Well done. Breathe. Okay.
It's a bit warm in here.
I like the presentation. I think you brought to life a genuine, real-life problem, which is this. And with this, that's a good spot and a good thing to go after. It's been a bit different to what we've seen before. I like the fact you've done a lot of work on costings and pros and cons and benefits, which is really good to see. I like the PTC link, which I'm sure we'll get onto, so I'll go into that. And I like the idea. It's quite big and bold. Actually, it's not tweaking something. It's quite big and bold out there. So it's a very good idea. A few questions from me though. Will it work on our current tablet solution, or are you even aware of the fact we've got a new tablet solution coming in stores? Will it work with that? Is that the plan, or would it be a complete rejig?
So in my store, we're on the retail mobile transact trial.
Okay.
So we are using the tablets in store. So we are seeing that, you know what, you could sign on the kit, and because we're printing the kits out, you could sign it, and then that could be saved. So being on the trial, it's definitely something that we feel that could be put forward.
Have you asked that question of anyone that works with those tablets?
I've asked our trainer who's like training on the tablets, because I was like, oh, so you're doing this tablet stuff. Can I talk to you about my Inspire project? He's like, oh great, go on then. So yeah, he said that it was something that they would be looking at in the future, depending on how the tablets take off. And with us just being on the trial, it was in the very early stages when I asked him about it.
Probably actually all dig into that a bit deeper.
Yeah, I think legally as well, just to, obviously because with the e-signature, within telesales we're doing contracts for tablets on a finance agreement, and that works on the same basis where we ping an email to the customer, they electronically sign it and send it back to us to be able to authorise the credit agreement. So that would sort of reach into that sort of tablet signing in, with it being electronically, we can legally do it basically, and get around that sort of loophole, with it all being saved on a sort of database. So I think it could work in that scenario.
Okay. And have you done any work with the right departments or any costing on DPA and security solutions you have for it?
We don't know exact financial figures on it, but it's a case of knowing we could do it.
Yeah.
So we haven't been able to work out the costings from that. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get divulge that information from them.
Yeah, the costings that we collated are from stakeholders like Scott McKay, who's head of project management, and on the back of the process that's already in place, he did mention the digital signature and also the possibility of the DPA, and the estimation from 250 to 480 was with an add-on to the process that's in place at the moment.
I only have one more question, so we're just looking. But in your contingency, it costs almost twice as much as your actual project. Is that a scare tactic, or is that?
Well, we just thought that why isn't it happening anyway?
Yeah.
And what was the easy sort of contingency to get that information available for everyone? But then the figures just came out like that, so it wasn't intentionally to make it really high.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is doing the digital way is getting that, like we were saying about having a digital life and then we're not really doing it, and having it done on a fax is so outdated that we just thought as well as the customer service element as opposed to the costs.
saying we've got to do something, your choices are.
Yeah, I think we do have to do something because it's so frustrating for everyone. Customer service, customers being passed back and forward. Something has to be fixed.
Well, I like the fact you had a contingency, but I think there's a subset of that contingency as well. So that's kind of quite a big contingency, 3 minutes, you know, kind of doing that. Is there not a piece in between which would be a form on the screen where the advisor kind of fills it in and then prints out the KIF, you know, kind of there and then, but it's not. It doesn't have to be so interlinked. And then as they're inputting the seal, they're automatically then being that recordable piece.
I think we did discuss a photocopy version, and that was kind of put into the database as well, I think. But again, we thought, with it being quite visual in retail, why not have the tablets that we're selling? Why not show them that they're actually in, you know,
I'm just thinking if your development was longer or costlier, or it was the top end of your 480 or whatever, you'd have to look at your other plan B is very manual. There's a piece in between, I think, is there not?
There is.
Which might bridge it, even whilst you were moving to that as well. You didn't.
And also in your costings, you've got other savings in there to help your business case. You've got your print costs, which are phenomenal in retail, and people cost going to get stuff. You can make that quite a compelling business case if you took all the evidence away.
Also the environmental side of it.
Yeah.
Also we practice to be a paperless business. And
No.
Over to you, Steve. No?
I like what your concept is. I suppose it took me a little while to get to where you were going. And the skeptic in me wondered whether you're finding a process to look at a solution that we should be thinking about. Because you're talking about automation of the process, you're talking about digitalisation of what we already do and making it an even better experience for our customer. We're kind of hanging it off this process that's just got lots and lots and lots of numbers behind it, which is great. You've done the analysis. It kind of feels like it's a really big, bold thing to do. It's the right thing to do. So I absolutely support what you're saying. It took me 10 minutes before I concluded it. So I'm going to go, where are you going with this? And it was all very intriguing and enigmatic, but I got to the point of, you want to do electronically enabled contract principles. Got you. So it took me a while to get there. That much because I'm stupid, but I think you could have caught me really quickly on that one. And then we talked about the reasons behind it all, really clear. So going back to your point, the point is about the process that we're trying to fix here. I didn't know this, so maybe it's just my ignorance, but I didn't realise this was such a big problem. So 6 months after the date and signature, there's no evidence to support anything that the customer might have had in terms of the deal for them. Is that a widely renowned problem that exists within our organisation today in terms of, did you all know about it if we went and investigated?
I think as we are selling more additional products, because the additional line deals that we do have this MRC discount on, so as it's getting harder to sell like new connections, so you have to sell it as an additional line with a discount on, I think it's coming out a lot more. It used to be that we used to get a lot of the full money 36 discounted down to 26. We used to get a lot of them back because the discount hadn't been added, or the customer hadn't noticed that the discount hadn't been added. So I think as a lot more of the deals have got MRC discounts on, we are getting a lot more through.
I think from a customer service, just from a customer service point of view as well, because obviously we deal calls, me and Mark as well on these sort of type of calls. For example, if you took out a contract in the store, you then ran customer service, we wouldn't know unless looking at Excalibur what you've got to confirming what you've agreed upon. So there's that bridging gap between obviously us saying, well, you have to go back to the store because we've got no details confirming what you're saying. We've got X, Y, and Z, which obviously is not what you're telling me. So it's kind of bridging that gap between the CS and store. And I think it does it well in the sense that if we've got the correct information, got the signature to confirm that what you've signed this, you obviously must have read it. And it kind of resolves it there and then, as opposed to having this repeat call and this escalation process which is currently in place.
Yeah. I think when we originally did it, though, didn't we all kind of said the same thing at the same time? What problems we know happens between a retail store and customer service? And it was the first thing Laura said, too many people get sent back into the store because they've done something in the store and then they can't help. And we said we have a lot of people that we get something's happened in the store and we don't have any sight as to what they've done. So I think everyone kind of at the same time, when you was billing, we all kind of came up with the same idea at the same time.
We definitely experienced it, yeah.
That's like your idea though, from the point of view that the idea is really good and it solves a loads of those problems. It doesn't just solve the small one or big one, whatever it is that you're talking about there. It's a massive idea that solves loads of problems. But, yeah.
Well, that's a bit that you haven't done, because I've been in the same place as you. It's taken a while to get me on it. And that's because, so if we stand back and go, would you want an electronic gift? Of course. Would you want visibility at whatever touch point in the organisation of what that 2-year contract with this customer is? Of course. So I kind of get the theory of it, but when you start to talk about why it was most important, the only thing I heard until this part of the conversation was it's about the discount, and that could be to say, well, is that because we should do, is the root cause and that's something else? Could we do that another way? You know, to kind of start, if that's the root cause, so before you spend $500,000 or whatever it is there something else? Whereas if you've got, I think Denise, but if you've got more things that this would help us do, then that's a stronger case. So I'm still a bit unconvinced.
I think with the issue that we're discussing, I think it's all about how we look towards the customer, and we must be professional. And as I've experienced it from my position, I'm working with the retention department, and call after call, but the majority of the calls, they are issues that we have to resolve. And as an agent, if we can resolve that on the call, it's just the professionalism that comes across to say that customer is absolutely priceless. If you do not have the solution to that problem at the time, you can still take ownership of that problem.
I think you're right. I'm with you there philosophically, but I need to know, so of all of the conversations you have with your customers, is it 2% or 20% that having an electronic gift would sort out?
I think it would solve a lot of issues, not just discounts. It would solve people who can't get their handset unlocked because they've had their phone swapped by Apple, so we've got a different IMEI. It would solve if they got an extra data in Compass which then didn't travel over to Excalibur. It would solve the discount issues. Even just somebody wanting a copy of their contract just because they don't have their original copy, it would solve a massive amount of issues.
There's absolutely, in CS, there's absolutely nothing worse than not having an answer for the customer. And to have that answer, which is, I apologise, you're going to have to go, I can't solve your issue, you're going to have to go back to the point of purchase. I think that's a terrible answer to give our customers. Unfortunately, I don't know if there is another answer to that. There's no solution.
10 calls, how many of those?
10 calls, would that be, I would say, 1 or 2 out of 10.
I think it depends what department you're in.
Yeah, definitely.
For myself, my background is billing, and I would say mine's 60% of my calls when I used to be on the phones was that. With A's, obviously retention is going to be less because it's going to be taken by CS, but yeah, it is an issue.
The call can't, even if the customer request to get escalated, it's kind of, even your manager doesn't have an answer to the solution. It's, all we can do really is we would obviously, just take the customer's word for it. We would, if it was that much of an issue, the customer was that, there's a concern that upset, they've been passed from pillar to post, and believe it or not, the customer has gone back to retail and spoke to CS 3 or 4 times, and it's unbelievable what we're putting our customers through just this one process that's not in place. And again, if they escalate to the managers, sorry, what I was saying was we would obviously take the customer's word for it, but again, it wouldn't have to be a certain amount of questioning, a certain amount of hassle that the customer has to go through, so they would get that in the end. But would they be happy with the results and the fact that they had to find tooth and nail to get what you originally were sold and given to 6 or 12 months ago?
And often as well, when they come in, they're like, so did the gentleman on the phone think I was lying about this?
Yeah.
So we have to then diffuse the situation, like, oh no, I'm sure it wasn't meant like that. We just need some form of proof to get it sent off that. So it is kind of diffusing that, because the guy on the phone didn't believe me when I said this is how much it was going to be.
That's the worst thing for customer service, the NPS score, when you're potentially annoying the customer because it thinks that you don't believe them. When in all reality, they're telling you, it could just be that they're on a £30 plan and it should be £25, and it was just a mistake that was made.
But also on a lighter note, I mean, how good would that visually look within our stores? These are the products that we're selling. There's your contract sign. I mean, it just seems so, looks so up to date and
It's
modern.
all built in with digital life, which obviously is the direction as well as number one service, which I feel like.
I buy
Get
that,
that,
or I buy
Yeah.
the rest. My point is, where it took us, it feels like you kind of, maybe you haven't, but it feels like you're trying to contrive the situation for us to on lots of numbers, when actually you've got a really strong proposition here that's really bold about having a digitalised solution that actually tracks with that brand, our image with the customer, and the whole network, and wraps up in all the services. You've got a great story to tell. I think I've just got confused with all the stuff that sits behind this one broken process and trying to collate the two. I think the two have some bearing, but there's lots of other benefits at least when we get out this that could be really selling. You could buy us in 2 minutes.
It's come through really well there. So the
Yes.
advice is more upfront. That's okay, because you're retrieving it for us in the moment. Let me move on a wee bit and just ask you about the risks of this. So, and also your timelines. So if you were to do this, if you were to get the investment, what would you need to do next to make it work, and what would be some of the risks on the timelines attached?
I think from a timeline, you would need a sort of plan of structure in place, like to put it into Excalibur, because obviously you would need a sort of a box so that we know within a file or within the objectives. As it currently stands, if you want to make a note, I did obviously click on the sort of icon at the top to bring down your box. So effectively something needs to be in there. I think within a time frame, I think you could pretty much turn it around within a sort of a 6-month period, because it all is in the case of putting it electronically, training obviously in store for the agents in store. We wouldn't necessarily need that training on the customer service side of things, because it's pretty straightforward. It's there in Excalibur, that's it. But obviously for a store, so I think within a 6-month period, I think you could easily turn around and have these in stores, ready to go live across the whole UK, really. So,
I think the risks the cost of building the system could go higher than expected. You've also got maintenance costs, but kind of the other side of the argument is look how much we're saving. So we might not cover it in the first 6 months if the costs go higher than expected, but in the first 12 or 18 months it's pretty much guaranteed. The cost you're saving annually thereafter more than cover the maintenance costs.
Seems quite costly. Did you get a breakdown of the costs?
Of the system, we've got a sum in terms of how much it is to make a change in Excalibur, and that sum is a lot higher than it was to make a change in the toolkit, which is why we chose the toolkit because it's cheaper, and it does achieve the same end results. But it's very hard to give you an exact figure until you've got an exact, very detailed breakdown of exactly what you want. But we know it's going to cost as well the tablets in store, but we know from retail that it's already being trialled in some stores, so that is already an idea that the business have. That's where they want to go. So
But your ballpark cost has your systems change, your process change, and your tablet change. It hasn't got, or did you put the cost of the tablets in?
No, because we assume that the
Choose what we
try and
have.
have that before and everything.
Don't underestimate data protection bit.
Yeah, I think that's it.
The token, one of you referenced, I think it was yourself, Richard, with regards to the token more increase, which was the token piece around financial agreements and credit agreements in some
Right.
tablets.
yeah.
We piloted that campaign because it was small in terms of telesales, and we did a really measured campaign there. The cost associated with that, and that was Barclays, not us. So if we had to absorb those costs ourselves, please, you've got to interrogate that one really carefully, and there's a lot of stakeholders involved in that piece. This should preclude you from doing it, just that's something that's going
It could be another reason as well, because that is where we're going. If it's an organisation down that route, we'll go down in the retail. And therefore it could be another advantage to this. How could you do that without this kind of
Instead, what you're proposing is definitely more feasible in retail because of that face-to-face interface, intervention, having storage aspects and everything. We tried it in the hardest place possible in telesales and campaigns, but the cost is still there that we need to interrogate.
So one of the dependencies is that people in store are notepadding Excalibur. So we know that doesn't happen 100% of the time. So how would you engage with stores to make sure that piece is done?
I think it'd have to be a part of a process where it'd have to be done in store. There's no sort of, basically it's a part of whether that sale is warranted as a sale for an agent. For example, if we don't do something on telesales with certain things, it could potentially disciplinary action or effectively you can lose that sale. So it kind of needs to kind of go down the same basis with retail to make sure every sale's done. There is confirmation of what has been done and the agreement has been signed upon. So I think that needs to be enforced on the agents in store and train them, train accordingly to make sure it works.
I think as well, once you show people in store how doing it helps them, because if they stood for an hour with an angry customer trying to fix a problem because they couldn't see the kid, they say, well, if you put a note on that account, that customer wouldn't come to store, and then that'll help them help themselves. So I think
Do you
we'll
think
get it right.
everyone would get that? The fact that
I think in my store they would, because once they see how it's going to benefit them, and that we love our customers coming back. I don't want the customers not to come back, but I want the customers to be happy when they're coming back, because we love our customers to be happy. So if they see that these customers coming back are going to come back for good reasons and not because there's something's happened and they've had to make and everything like that, then I think you would get the buy-in.
Just my final question. So you talked about it would reduce our call queues. So what would be the reduction in PTC? I know you touched on some numbers on PTC. What would we be looking at?
So for customers who have to call in because the customer information form is not available, they have to call on average 2.38 times. So we can't stop the initial call. However, that initial call will be dealt with quicker and in a lot better way. But the additional 1.38 calls from them 464,000 customers.
Yeah.
So it's like 666,000 calls that the company would save a year, just having repeat calls coming back in.
Well done, everyone. I was quite sold on the content quite early actually. I thought your presentation built up very nicely for a need that we have. And the digital solution I think is good. I thought of another one of the reasons why I'd have it potentially for my days in store was proof of purchase. It was a constant difficult thing that I still hear of. So I love the idea. I think it's superb. Some questions from me. The Excalibur question is building on what you said. That's was your contingency plan, was it? Or is that part of this digital signature and storage plan?
Well, it is the contingency plan to do it just manually in Excalibur because it's not being done.
Okay, so that has to be done as well.
Well, I think if the whole process is automated, then you could build into signing the form to the note automatically being implemented in. At the minute, I think we're rolling out at phase 2, where essentially you click through a call and it will put the notes of what you're doing.
Yeah. Because I don't believe in both. I think is the thing. Having rolled it out once in retail and then thinking about how we get great usage now and what the usage currently is, actually that's a more difficult thing than I think any of us anticipated it to be. So I guess I don't want to put extra steps into the transactions that we don't have to want to be taken out.
I think that included automated, so they can sign the form, it made a notepad, put it straight in Excalibur.
There can't be any confusion there. The customer's signature's on it, and it's printed exactly on the information form what they've agreed to. So there's really no room for error if it's just a screenshot of what they've signed up.
And then I think some of the cost is I didn't see like storage costs really. So it would be then storing this stuff so that everybody can access it. That's an enormous amount of digital storage which I don't think we have now or have a massive.
I suppose it's in comparison to the current storage situation. You've got the safety on big format. We're paying for that storage as it stands now, so it's kind of replacing that to a certain degree. So rather than having that payment there, it could be used to store the data instead.
We're also putting on systems that already exist, and the other option is to have that stored on the customer's account or my account. So they can physically come in and they can say this is my agreement and we can see that. But I don't feel that way would need as much storage as separate storage for our system.
And I think that's part of what describes one of the risks with it is that because it's quite it could be quite a delicate operation, there's a risk that it wouldn't be bold enough with the plan and end up archiving and storing here and doing that duplicates costs. I think it is a real sort of tight
get into that because I think it's really good. I think the reason more exciting than others. But I feel like I'm selling it to you a little bit. Look at the things it could do, because I'm just scribbling here for 2 minutes, but I think you've got a database of where you're upgrading customers. So all of that information, you've got data for our advocate calls to call our customers, we can call that data, you can make savings in there, you've got print costs, you've got the receipt stuff that Louise was talking about, you've got reducer storage in stores, you've got mobile transacting, paperwork, labour, credit reduction, not my mistakes, upgrade our business.
You've also got something that's growing as well, because I think you're touching on the first year where this is going to escalate as a big issue, but now 25% of everything we sell is coming from our existing customers, so that's why it's growing, because there's now more discounts than ever, and actually we want to continue that, we want to be
But that's
flexible.
the problem. I'm not enthusiastic, just didn't get it as quick.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest issue. Like that growing, that fact that
Yes,
growth
yeah, it's going to get
is
busy year on year. Yeah.
massive, and the fact that if we go down a financial planning route to worry about of sale, then we need something like that anyway. So I was thinking, right now, thinking we were enthusiastic about it.
I think I can see where you're coming from, where you say obviously something, because obviously yourself, you kind of think of ideas. I think what we chose was an option where it kind of worked with what we were all affected like currently, and it's kind of going off what we think is a potential major sort of selling point of it. Obviously from the side, like, you've got other potential opportunities to save money.
And it's important that we do some cost avoidance. So we'll be spending money in some of these areas. Apart from outweighing your cost, we'll be doing some development work on Excalibur, on things that this could maybe go under the banner of.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm a bit surprised because I sort of don't believe it. I believe you've asked the question, you've got the answer, but typically I think
There are safety costs.
that could be really, could be really screwed down. But,
There's loads of potential.
I think I'm like you, the more that, because I'm really passionate about this with being in retail and seeing it like firsthand, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, well, I can do this, and I can do this, and we can do this, and we can do this, and then suddenly I've just spent all of everyone's money. But I've got a great idea, so it's fine on that. So I think it is, the potential is there, and there's so much that could be done with it.
there's a really important trial starting, probably you know about it, Laura, but the other guys might service into retail trial, which starts next Monday in 50 shops, really looking at kind of, embracing all of this, the sort of the 40% of food flow comes into stores. We do daily services, kind of doing all that, milk waste, all that sort of stuff. But I think it would be really good for us to, in that trial, and we would link in with that trial team, to say, you also keep this in mind, what if you had an electronic kit, what could that do? Because I think there'll be a myriad of other things probably comes out. And we say, God, if we only had that, we would check that, that would help us do that, we would check, so that I think there might be quite a lot in that trial as well. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.